Good afternoon and thanks for joining us on News Track, coming to you live from our RFA facility. My name is Yaksat Maklek. The Nigerian government has directed all ministries, departments and agencies to fully implement the provisions of the Nigeria Data Protection Act, NDP Act 2023, as part of efforts to strengthen responsible data governance, protect citizens' personal information, and promote public trust in government institutions. The directive is contained in a circular dated July 27, 2026, and signed by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume. Senator Akume said the circular drew the attention of all federal government MDAs to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's directive on the strategic importance of data in national development and the need to ensure its lawful processing and protection. He said the president directed all ministries, extra-ministerial departments and agencies to capture information rigorously while safeguarding it in accordance with the Nigeria Data Protection Act of 2023. The circular mandates every MDA to ensure full compliance with the Act, relevant regulations, guidelines and directives issued by the Nigeria Data Protection Commission NDPC regarding the collection, storage, processing, and management of personal data. To achieve this objective, the federal government directed all MDAs to appoint suitably qualified data protection officers to oversee institutional compliance with data protection obligations and provide guidance on lawful data processing. In addition, the government directed all MDAs to make adequate budgetary provisions to data protection activities, including staff capacity building, awareness campaigns, deployment of technological safeguards, implementation of security measures, and periodic compliance audits. To strengthen accountability, the federal government said permanent secretaries, accounting officers, and chief executive officers of MDAs will be personally responsible for ensuring compliance with the circular and the provisions of the Nigeria Data Protection Act. The Plateau State House of Assembly has called on the executive arm of government to strengthen the state security architecture and ensure the protection of lives and property, particularly for farmers. The call followed a matter of urgent public importance raised on the floor of the House by the member representing Kwampan North constituency, Owen Dagogot. Our House of Assembly correspondent reports that Tuesday's plenary session was presided over by the Speaker of the House, Nanlong Daniel. The report.
Raising the matter of urgent public importance, member representing Kwampan North constituency, Owen Dagogot, said agriculture remains the mainstay of his constituents, but the recent killing of a farmer, Emmanuel Philip, in his farmland in Dumak has heightened fear among farmers in the area. The lawmaker called on the House to condemn the killings and urged security agencies to conduct a thorough investigation to ensure that those responsible are brought to book.
The consideration and speedy passage of the early warning sign bill, which is in front of this House, to strengthen conflict prevention, enhance community-based intelligence gathering, and improve rapid response mechanisms against recurring attacks across Plateau State.
The prayers were unanimously adopted by the House following contributions from other lawmakers who cited similar security challenges in their constituencies. Member representing Dengi constituency, Idris Kalamu, also presented two prayers concerning a flooded bridge, which he said has continued to claim lives, with 2 casualties recently recorded. While communicating the House on the security situation across communities, the Speaker, Nanlong Daniel, said self-defense is a constitutional right, while expressing optimism that community policing be given priority to address insecurity.
Urge the Plateau State government to strengthen security presence in vulnerable farming communities, particularly during the farming season, to guarantee the safety of farmers and protect agricultural investment.
The House subsequently committed the matters to the Committee on Labor and Security for further actions. Also before the House was a bill for a law to establish the Creative Development Agency 2025, sponsored by member representing Barkin Ladi constituency, Dixon Cholum. The bill scaled second reading after deliberations by members. Sponsor of the bill, Dixon Cholum, said its passage will help promote creativity and better position Plateau State on the global stage. The bill was thereafter committed to the Committee on Tourism and Culture for further legislative action. Similarly, the House considered and adopted the report on a bill for a law to provide for the establishment, development and regulation of a health management information system, disease and geometric banking in Plateau State and for other related matters 2025, sponsored by member representing Pengana constituency, Yakubu Sanda. Meanwhile, a bill for a law to prohibit the use of buildings for criminal activities and provide for the demolition of such buildings in Plateau State and for other related matters 2026, sponsored by member representing Rukuba Irugwe constituency, Eli Ankala, skilled first reading. In Jos, I am Shama Kigyang.
The Plateau State government says the time is now administration of Governor Caleb Mutfwang will not play politics with any project being carried out across the state. State Commissioner of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Ephraim Usman, stated this when he received national executives of the JAR Development Association in the boardroom of the ministry in Jos. Correspondent Simon Swatke was at the boardroom of the ministry and his report is presented from our studio.
Receiving the executive of the JAR Development Association, Ephraim Usman said the gesture was in recognition of the good relationship between the government and the JAR community in the diaspora. He disclosed that the Mutfwang administration is working hard to ensure that the construction of a road in one of the JAR communities will soon commence. The commissioner called on the JAR community to continue to support the Governor Caleb Mutfwang administration in order to achieve the dividend of democracy at the grassroots.
And I want to assure you, His Excellency Governor Caleb Manasseh Mutfwang mean well for the people of Plateau State. When he came on board, he promised the construction of the road from Ampeg to Deni, which by the grace of God, the road has gone almost halfway. And we are trusting God that the same contractor that is on the road from Ampeg to Dengi, we are trusting God with your prayers, with your support, that the same contractor should be able to continue from Dengi to any part of the JAR land.
Earlier, the national president of JAR Development Association, Samaila Abubakar, said the visit is to rejoice with Usman over his reappointment as Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs by Governor Caleb Mutfwang. Abubakar pledged to support the administration of Governor Caleb Mutfwang and appealed to the governor to consider the JAR community in the distribution of projects.
The people of JAR stand firmly behind the vision of present administration of His Excellency Governor Caleb Mutfwang and remain confident that through your esteemed office, our voice will be here and our aspiration could be.
Also speaking, former Secretary of Kanam Local Government Council, Nuhu Dagang, said JAR has had its own share of insecurity and appealed to government to do everything possible to assist the people with security. The highlight of the visit was a presentation of gifts to the commissioner by the national president of JAR Development Association.
Another development, national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Nentawe Yilwada, has affirmed that the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is translating the renewed hope agenda into tangible developmental outcomes for Plateau State people. Professor Yilwada made this assertion during a courtesy visit to His Majesty in the Jika Golit, the Ngolongas, in his palace in Pangchin recently. The national APC chairman, who was accompanied by the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Joseph Ofser, the Plateau State Commissioner for Water Resources and Rural Development, Lawandi Dati, and other senior government officials disclosed that the visit was undertaken on the express approval of Mr. President to ensure that the people of Plateau witness concrete evidence of democracy through strategic federal interventions. Professor Iwada further revealed that over 500 kilometers of federal roads are currently under construction across Plateau State. He cited the Maraban Jama'a, Kanke Shandam, Ibi Dual Carriageway, and other trunk roads as critical infrastructure projects designed to open up North Central, stimulate economic growth, enhance trade, and create employment opportunities for the youth. In his address, the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Joseph Ofser, lauded the people of Plateau State for their unwavering support for the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and announced landmark water projects poised to transform agriculture and livelihoods in the state. The minister announced the approval by the federal government for the construction of a new multi-purpose dam in Kanke local government area to be sited at Gillet Village in Ampam West District. He explained that the project will facilitate irrigation, domestic water supply, fisheries, tourism, and generate sustainable employment for the teeming youth. In addition, it disclosed that approval has also been given to complete the hitherto abandoned Gindri Dam in Mango local government area and assured that the remaining works will be delivered within the next 6 months to enhance agricultural productivity and expand access to water in the state. In the Jika Golit, the Ngolongas described the visit as a clear manifestation of the federal government's recognition of Plateau State and the Ngas Nation, and especially thanked the APC National Chairman, Professor Nentao Yilwada, for his exemplary representation through which the state has witnessed tremendous federal government projects. In a historic gesture of honor and cultural investiture, the Golit formally robed the minister in full Ngas traditional attire, signifying royal acceptance and adoption into the Ngas Nation. And talking food, prices of some vegetables in the market are experiencing a hike while some are beginning to drop. Our correspondent who visited the Faringada market gives us a breakdown. The report.
Chili pepper, popularly known as shambo, formerly sold for 130,000 per bag, currently sells for 55,000 and 60,000 naira. Tomatoes was sold for 20,000 and 25,000 per basket, currently now sells for 10,000 and 4,500 per basket. A development customers say it is a welcome relief.
I'm very happy and I pray it will continue dropping. It will not go high again. This one is UTC, 4,500 for today.
Bell peppers, which was sold for 3,000 and 3,500, now sells for 4,500 and 5,000 per kilo. Pepper, formerly sold for 200,000 and 150,000, is now 65,000 per bag, with yellow pepper currently sold for 130,000 per bag.
At the sell pepper 200, 150, 180. Now pepper 65.
Onion prices, however, keeps fluctuating, but currently it is being sold at 150,000 per bag.
Before we were buying it basket 18,000, but now it's 25,000.
There is many obstacles that we normally have in the rainy season farming due to the factor of climatic condition, while we have more advantage during the dry season. Why it enable the farmers to plant very well, and the climate is not affecting the products, the crops. During the rainy season, until you have sufficient manpower and material, chemicals, input that will enable you to farm it very well. Because of that, that is why it's very high during the rainy season.
In Jos, I am Bilkisu Ilya.
Rising pump prices forced Nigerian consumers to cut petrol, diesel, and cooking gas consumption during the first half of 2026 as higher energy costs squeeze household incomes and raise transportation and production costs. An analysis of the H1 2026 Downstream Industry Analysis Report by the Major Energy Marketers Association of Nigeria obtained by Newsman showed a clear relationship between rising fuel prices and weakening demand for the country's three major petroleum products According to the report, the average retail price of premium motor spirit petrol rose from 1,035 naira per litre in January to 1,051 in February. Before climbing to 1,289 in March, it increased further to 1,553 in April and peaked to 1,039 in May, before rising to 1,300 in June. The price increases coincided with declining consumption. Average daily petrol consumption fell from 60 to 61 million liters in January to around 58 million liters in February, dropped sharply to about 48 million liters in March, recovered slightly to roughly 51 million liters in April, declined to 46 to 47 million liters in May, and improved marginally to about 48 million liters in June after pump prices eased in the process. Diesel consumption also weakened as prices rose. Automotive gas oil sold for an average 1,362 naira per litre in January to 1,420 in February and 1,648 in March. Prices surged to 2,475 in April, reached 3,277 in May, and moderated to 2,900 in June. Average diesel consumption stood at 19.5 million liters per day in January, rose slightly to around 20 million liters in February, then declined to about 15.5 to 16 million liters in March. It recovered modestly to approximately 17.5 million liters in April before settling at about 16 million liters daily in May and June 2026. Liquefied petroleum gas also recorded weaker demand. Average LPG prices increased from 1,086 naira per kilogram in January to 1,360 in February, 1,572 in March, 1,791 in April, and 1,800 in May, before easing to 1,661 in June. Consumption moved in the opposite direction, falling from about 4.9 to 5.0 kilotons daily in January to roughly 4.3 to 4.4 kilotons in February. Demand briefly recovered to about 5.1 to 5.2 in the process, and before declining steadily to around 4.2 kilotons in June 2026. Merman attributed the higher fuel prices to rising global crude oil prices driven by geopolitical tensions in the Middle East and disruptions to shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. Although crude prices eased in June, they remained above levels recorded at the beginning of the year. And on the foreign scene, Russia attacked Ukraine with ballistic missiles and drones, killing at least 17 people, as Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said interceptors could have saved lives. In one of the deadliest strikes on Kiev and the capital region this year, which started after midnight on Wednesday, at least 45 people were injured after residential buildings, a railway station, and warehouses were hit. Ukraine, who has consistently urged allies for more US-made Patriot missile interceptors to defend against Russian ballistics, has not reported intercepting any of the missiles in the overnight attack. Zelensky added details in receiving anti-ballistic systems from partners leads to horrific casualties and destruction. The president later said the supply of interceptors from allies had been significantly reduced this year. The Russia Defense Ministry said it has struck logistics hubs and supply centers in Kiev and the surrounding region. It also said it had hit 3 cargo vessels which were transporting weapons and military equipment near the Black Sea port of Odessa. And that wraps it up for us on News Track, reaching you live from our Rayfield studio. You can stay tuned with us by 6:30 p.m. when Global News comes away, and News Update by 10 p.m., as well as other programs on the platform. Thanks for joining. Bye for now.